streets are talking. You are now listening to The Box Out, tri-state area basketball talk at its best. And now your hosts, Kahlil Thomas and Jason Cordner. Let's get it.
Probably turn a mic on before I start talking. From NJ to BK and the world, this is The Box Out here on the Just Hoop Talk YouTube channel. My name is Kylie Thomas. Joining me in just a few short minutes will be Jason Cordner, who was at the Garden last night. Going into this season, there were a lot of doubts and a lot of part optimism, part fear on the part of Knicks fans about how the Knicks are going to perform, what can they do, what they can't do, the signings they made, Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker, and how they would work out. Do you re-sign Alec Burks to a big contract? You re-sign Nerlens Noel to a big contract. You bring back Derrick Rose, who was really good in the playoffs, but you really didn't know what he had left in the tank after that playoff performance against Atlanta, the series he lost. So going into the series, you were kind of on edge about what kind of team this was, who they were, what they can do, blase, right? Last night, what happened, I think, you saw both sides of the coin, I think, with the Knicks. You saw a team that won, I think, with the additions of Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker in flashes, mainly Fournier. You saw a team that can score. And I think that was the big thing. On the other hand, defensively, especially in those last few minutes, you saw a team that was lost. You saw a team that wasn't great. Now, mind you, I should probably start the show by saying that the Knicks won, right? As a Knicks fan, you automatically go to the negative aspect of the game. What was wrong? What was not wrong? What was bad? What wasn't bad? You don't look at the good if you're a Knicks fan. All right? Double overtime win at home against Boston. Crazy crowd. Sellout crowd, the Garden. People are hyped. But the problem becomes this, really. How excited should we be based on what we saw last night? I think it's a real question, right? A couple big threes from Fournier, a couple big drives by Randall, but for the most part, that game was sketchy. As I bring in Jason Cordner. Jay, what's going on?
Not much. How you holding up?
I'm good. So you were at the game last night.
Crazy atmosphere, crazy game.
So I'm talking about the game, and of course, as a fan, I go to we won. But I wasn't happy.
Okay.
You're up by 11, 3 minutes left in the game, and all hell breaks loose.
Mm-hmm.
Julius Randle, let's start with that. Julius Randle had a great game. He's bringing the ball up way too much yesterday. Way too much. And then a couple times when he was bringing the ball up, he was kind of lazy about it. And that's when the steals kind of happened. So, you look at Randall's great game, but you look at those really big turnovers, those strips. What do you take from the game from last night? The good, the bad, all of it.
Good. I'll take that. The new players in the rotation played well. I love what I saw from Foyer. I love what I saw from Obi with the minutes. I want to know, where did that come from? Was that something that was planned, or he just felt the way the game was going? I saw when he took Quickly out. Quickly didn't look like he had it early in the night, and he didn't go back to him at all for much of the rest of the game. But when do you think Obi? He was going to stick with Obi a little bit longer than you thought he normally would have.
Yeah, the 28 minutes for Obi. That's going the season. You're like, can he get 20?
Right.
He gonna get 28. Quickly didn't look great. Jericho Sims played a few minutes, not a ton because Noel's still out.
Right.
Kemba played 36 minutes, which is scary for someone
Very
who
scary.
hasn't played 36 minutes in I don't know how long.
Maybe 2 seasons.
Well, you saw a second overtime that Tibbs kind of pulled him and said, all right, we're going to go with Derrick Rose for these last 5 in second overtime because you saw Kemba in that first overtime, he looked spent. Like, I mean, everybody did. Everybody did. Kemba, more than others, looked really, really out there. You texted me. It's funny because you texted me like, I don't know about what's up with Barrett. And then he started hitting shots like, because you heard me. Barrett didn't look great. Barrett looked kind of a little passive in this game.
Yeah.
And then kind of awakened last minute.
Yeah. He had I mean, the first half, like I was texting you, I was a little worried. I was a little worried that he's looking like RJ Knox and not being very aggressive out there. So, I'm glad he he turned it up. But he's going to be a major factor in how well the Knicks do because I'm looking at on the defensive end, you kind of see where you're missing Bullock, where like Bullock was out there, he would have probably did a better job. I want to say, I'll say he would have done a better job, especially on Marcus Smart. And I felt like that's something the Knicks got to work on. It looks like the 3-point defense, which they used to hang their hats on, that might be a problem this season.
Well, you saw in that last possession of regulation with Boston. You saw Tatum slips. I'm like, okay, good. Game over. He slips. Gets the ball up court to Marcus Smart. But before he got the ball to Smart, he got trapped.
Yeah.
Leaving Smart wide open. Kemba's going to the paint, knowing you're up by 3, as I hit my computer because I'm so angry. Walker moves to the paint. Don't know why. Moves away from Smart. Smart wide open 3-point ties. The game goes overtime. That was the epitome. And you talk about the 3-point defense. That was the epitome of why the defense was so bad last night. And you looked at it and listen, Brown was hitting crazy shots. That shot he hit late in the fourth quarter was nuts. He was on fire last night. So you can't stop that. You really can't stop that. But if Tibbs thinks defense, he needs to figure out what the hell's wrong. And he said it. I think Bullock is a cog that they might be missing, not just now, but later on.
I mean, lucky for the Knicks that, Tatum he had an awful night. Like, that's rarely going to happen. So that's kind of what saved them as well. Yeah,
Tatum had an off night. Listen, Evan Fournier, and this is my issue. I told somebody this when I was getting a drink at the train station coming home today. Fournier had 32 points in 44 minutes. That's good Fournier. You'll have this Fournier, and then you have the opposite Fournier tomorrow against Philadelphia. So I feel like with Fournier, you take the good with the bad. You take 32 tonight, you'll take 8 on 2 of 18 shooting tomorrow. So I feel like this is what you paid for. You paid for Fournier hitting big threes, and now you're going to pay for Fournier maybe not doing as well next game.
Well, maybe that's what they hope Tibbs could kind of like, make sure we get more good than bad Fournier.
I hope so, because that was impressive because that was something they were missing. They were missing that last year.
Yeah.
You didn't have that one guy and it seems like him and Randall has a relationship. They have a relationship already.
Yep.
They that little screenplay. He gets around it. It seems like if that continues, that's a weapon right there, and it opens up the floor for the guards. It opens up the floor for Obi. If that's the thing, sky's the limit for Julius Randle and Evan Fournier.
Yeah, I definitely think Randle, minus him bringing up the ball a lot, and people were shouting out near me in the audience like, why is he bringing up the ball? What's going on with this point forward? If they could somehow control that, limit that a little bit, he'll be fine. So
the Knicks win by 4 in double overtime. It was a game that I was hoping that would not go late because I was trying to go to sleep last night.
You?
Well, I thought about it. So I'm going to the game. Like, I wish I could go too. And then I'm sitting there watching. I'm like, okay, 10 o'clock. All right, brother, 10 o'clock. And it went past 10. Then overtime. And a game like this, when it's over, you're hyped. So you can't go right to sleep. You're like, I start talking to people. And that's what happened. So I didn't go to like 11:30 last night. I'm like, shit. But it was a big win. Speaking of wins, and this is last week we talked about the over-unders on teams in the NBA. And how obviously the Nets have a little higher over-under than the Bucks. The Nets are the favorites to win the Eastern Conference over the Bucks, the defending NBA champions. To open the season Tuesday, the Bucks put it on the Nets, 127-104. What were your impressions from that game? Because I feel like let me get your impressions first. Let me get what you think about this game.
I feel like I think I told you that. I think I texted you that night. I have two impressions about that game. One, the Bucks are, first of all, usually when teams get their rings, they're so flat that night, and the Bucks were anything but flat. It was like, okay, we got our ring, on to the next one. I thought they came out hungry, showed their depth. I think this team is a little deeper than the team they had last year, and I think the fact that TNT was not at their game, but they were at the Laker game, I felt like they probably took that as an insult. And two, the fact that everybody still favors the Nets, and a little spectrum of people think Philly's better than them. I'm not one of them, but I think it's a constant reminder, like when it comes to the Lakers and Nets, they still take a backseat and they're the defending champs. And I think Giannis wants to take it up another notch. And I like the supporting cast they have right now. And I think, to me, they're the top dogs in the East still. I think they're better. I think from what we saw through the 7-game series with the Nets and what I'm seeing in the first game, I think they have the Nets number.
And it's funny because you said they're deep, and they were missing a lot of guys on Tuesday. Because you forget, Portis didn't play on Tuesday.
Not at all. He was street clothes.
Portis didn't play. I know they lost Drew Holiday in the second quarter. There was someone else missing. There's a lot of players missing actually from Milwaukee, but Grayson Allen, 10 points, hit big threes. Pat Connaughton, they love Pat Connaughton. Pat Connaughton put up 20 points. Jordan Navarro, who I think was on the Nets roster a couple years ago.
I think
he put up 15 off the bench. George Hill played 23 minutes, no points, but defensively played well, and he kind of ran the offense. You saw my man Sandro from Seton Hall get 7 minutes in that. And then Giannis, listen, 32 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists. I feel he got better.
I think he got better
where he's been. So I feel like that's something that the Nets got to look out for. And not just Nets, but every team in the East. The Nets, on the other hand, I get what Harden's trying to do. He's trying to establish himself. My chair keeps going down. I'm fixing this chair right now. My chair slowly dropping. I'm like, what is happening?
Just like the Nets win total prediction.
That over-under looks bad now. I feel bad for who put their money over. I think Harden's trying to make himself out to be a point guard. And I get it. He's the point. He said, that's my job. 6 of 16 shooting, 20 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Does it seem like he's focusing too much on trying to distribute and get everyone the ball and not trying to find a shot? Or if the shot's there, just taking it?
I think he needs to if the shot's there, he needs to take it. He needs to stop worried about being a point guard. That's why you got Patty Mills. That's why, it's a veteran team. Everyone knows to try to look for the best shot available. I think he thinks too much. I think he's not. I've noticed that ever since he got to the Nets, he's not been the same Harden. He's trying to be, he's trying to be a little passive aggressive, defer a little bit. He kind of has to go in this season, kind of like how LeBron did the second year with the Heat, where he was like, all right, I'm going to just worry on my shot. Durant, he's good. He's going to find his shot. I think he needs to get a little bit more aggressive here, especially when it comes to playing the Bucks. Even though he was playing with the Bucks with one leg, he was still kind of, very passive, very timid. He's a little healthy right now. I was surprised to see he was still timid.
Yeah, it was weird to me to see him just kind of like almost not try to drive to the basket, not get aggressive, get other people the ball. But in a game like Tuesday, there was really no one besides KD. There was really no one else doing anything on this team. Yeah, Patty Mills 7-7 from 3. He had 21 points, but besides that, who else is really making baskets for us besides KD? I feel like that's the time where you're like, okay, this is my time. And this is Houston Harden to come out and take the game over and lead them. I feel like he's thinking too much about being the point and not just taking the shots he needs to take. Did you notice Bruce Brown only played 4 minutes and that was in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't, because Bruce Brown was a big part of, especially the playoff run.
Yep. I'm
trying to figure out why he only played 4 minutes and why LaMarcus Aldridge played 16. I feel like Marcus Aldridge, he looked a step slow. I know he missed most of the last season because of a heart element. He came back. Is Steve Nash going to run with these vets and just kind of forget about the young guys? It seemed like he was forced to use a lot of the younger players last year, and it worked. Nicholas Claxton got 24 minutes, and great. But someone like a Bruce Brown, who's so versatile, you think he's going to kind of fall to the background while other guys get the burn?
I hope not, because he was a big factor last year. But if Nash wants to get his Thibodeau on and not play the young guys, I don't think there's going to be much success for the Nets because they're young guys. I mean, they're older guys. Kind of like the Lakers, long in the tooth. I don't know if I want to hang my hat on the veterans when you got some good young core. Like, I think Brown should have been playing more. I think the other rookie they got this year should have been playing a little bit more. See what you got with the young guys, especially now where Kyrie is not part of the team. Before he comes back, like Jalen Rose said today on First Take, I think Kyrie will be back with the team by the holiday time. So at that point, do you want to mess up chemistry? In the meantime, I would have seen what you got with the young guys.
So speaking of Kyrie, before the game yesterday on the TNT pregame show, Ernie Johnson talked to Adam Silver, the commissioner, and Ernie Johnson flat out asked him about Kyrie, which part of me was expecting, but I wasn't expecting to happen in the first 90 seconds of the interview. I guess it happened later. But here's what Adam Silver had to say about Kyrie and Kyrie's stance about not taking the vaccine.
Adam, let's talk. Look, your league is at 96% vaccination rate among your players. But there's so much talk about one of the guys who hasn't done it, Kyrie Irving. And so now, and you have said, look, this is not an NBA against Kyrie or versus Kyrie thing. This is a New York City law or regulation in how it pertains to Kyrie. Yet it is an issue that impacts the product that's put on the floor. If you could sit down with Kyrie Irving, what would you tell him?
I'd tell him to get vaccinated first and foremost for himself and his family, next for his teammates and his community, and also for the league that I know he cares so much about. I understand, that it's not just Kyrie. There are people in this country who disagree with the notion of getting vaccinated, but at least from everything that I understand, science is firmly on the side of getting vaccinated. And this is, in essence, a miracle vaccine. Think where we were, Ernie, when we first stopped this season and we all spoke, and then when we went into the bubble and we started last season, and then this vaccine came along. And it's already saved tens of millions of lives. And I think at some point, for Kyrie to be an engaged member of society, putting aside this league, he needs to get vaccinated. And that's the law in New York. And the law in New York is if you want to play in an arena, if you want to visit an arena, you want to participate in an activity in an arena, you need to be vaccinated. And that's where he finds himself, and that's where we are as a league. And here I am in Milwaukee, where after we give out the rings tonight, the Bucks will be playing the Nets.
So that was Adam Silver. And listen, we haven't heard from Kyrie since that crazy IG post. Adam Silver saying, get the vaccine, and he's not budging. So 96% vaccination rate. I said 98 last week. 96 is still pretty damn high. Jalen Rose, like you said, he said the holiday time. Mm-hmm. Do you think that, or do you think maybe Kyrie's in for this for the long haul? Like, I'm making a point, and I'm going to stay out as long as I possibly could.
I think, especially like what we heard about the boosters for the Johnson & Johnson and Moderna, and how you can kind of cross. I don't know how I feel about that. How you can cross vaccines now.
Cross-contaminate vaccines.
Yeah, so it's like the way they're going about it, I think Kyrie caves around holiday time. I think Durant and these guys have another conversation with him. I think he's the vice president or the president of the Players Union?
I think he's the vice president.
Well, I think they get involved in this a little bit, and they put a little pressure on him. And I think I want to say 75% by Christmas he's vaccinated and he's playing.
Yeah, I'm going to look it up because I'm curious about that, because he was vice president. He's the one who kind of starts some shit and tell players not to play in the bubble, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about
if he's going to do it.
if he's going to do it or not. Because I really do feel like he's trying to make this point. He's trying to say, I feel this way. This is what I'm doing. And Kyrie's stubborn.
Yeah.
And I feel like with so much kind of swirling around him, he might be like, fuck it. I'm over it. I'm not dealing with it no more. And just wait it out. He might get the vaccine, but it'll be like March.
It's crazy because they're talking about in the city now, like how police officers, firemen, they got to get vaccinated or they're going to, lose their pay and possibly lose their job. And does Kyrie really want to be that guy where it's like he's in a position of privilege where he's not going to lose his job? But a lot of people are getting vaccinated that don't want to get vaccinated. So
Anthony Wiggins got it. Anthony Wiggins got it, and he sure as hell didn't want that damn shot.
And he big game in the first game too, by the way.
We're gonna talk about that later because I have some issues with that Laker team. I see it already. I'm like, this ain't gonna work.
I told you take the under with the Lakers.
Well, because no, fuck it. We'll talk about it now. You look at that team, and here's the thing: LeBron wants to win another title. AD got that taste; he wants it again. So instead of them just going and saying, "Okay, we got Kuzma, let's develop these guys we've had for a couple of years," bring them into that fold where we can depend on them and not just us. They go trade away and get old dudes. I've never seen Russell Westbrook look more lost and more out of place than I did on Tuesday night. He had 8 points. He shot 4 of 13 from the field. It seemed like he did not know what to do. So I feel like that's gonna be the issue. They're old. They can't shoot. Kent Bazemore, who I think they got for his shooting, went 2 of 8 from 3. He's old.
And he wasn't a great shooter to begin with.
Yeah, they got him for a shooter. He played starting shooting guard, didn't make anything. Rondo, about say 20 minutes, 3 points, 5 assists. Okay, cool. Carmelo shot 3 of 9. So you had your shots you had 28 of 49 between between James and Davis. That's it. That's it. The rest of the team just didn't shoot well. And DeAndre Jordan, his old ass need to go. It's done. It's over. Like, shut it down. It's done. There's no way this team has constructed can win. Damn the finals. They can't win the West right now. This is atrocious against Golden State, who didn't even shoot well.
Right. Well, we'll see. It's game one. We're trying not to overreact, but like you said, I saw a lot of flaws in the Laker team, and we already said they were too old, and I don't know how they can compete against the Utahs and the Phoenix of the world, but we'll see. Or Denver.
Big surprise. I'm gonna talk about this because I think I felt this kind of one surprise, one interesting development. All right, Sacramento, Harrison Barnes, 36 points. Kings over Blazers in Portland. So for me as a closeted Sacramento Kings fan since cowbell heaven,
that's your West Coast team.
That's my West Coast team. That was a big game, right? Harrison Barnes, who I literally forgot was still on the team. I forgot he was in the league because I'm like, where he still plays? He plays for that. Mm-hmm. Got it, but I forgot they signed him to a big contract. 36 points. De'Aaron Fox, 27. Halliburton, 2. Big games. Look at Portland. Lillard, 20. McCollum, 34. Jokic, 20. Everyone else, didn't do anything. Maybe Dame don't leave. Maybe CJ tries to force out and say, I'm done here. I thought about that. McCollum put up big points. I think, and we'll talk about Ben Simmons a little later, maybe the trade isn't for Dame for the Sixers. The trade might be for CJ McCollum.
I think CJ would be a great fit in Philadelphia. So that's probably that's kind of where I see it heading. I see that may be the trade, but at the same time, that's going to force Dame to be like, you know what, I had enough of this. I'm out.
Well, it's funny because they can't. I think I was listening to Bill Simmons, and They get Larry Nance Jr. to kind of shore up the defense.
Right.
And he didn't do that.
Nope.
At all. So they still can't stop people. They're depending on trying to outshoot and outgun, which we see it in regular season. It's great.
Not gonna work.
Not in the playoffs. So I feel like Portland's this team where they're going to implode. It's a matter of time before it just blows up, and moves will have to be made. The question becomes, do you try to court Dame and say, well, if we could let CJ go, that loosens up more money to bring in more talent? Or do you go to Dame, like, hey, do you want to go? Is it time to go? And build around CJ and maybe Norman Powell.
For some reason, I see them losing both of those guys. I don't know why. I see the way Portland's going to play out. They're going to lose both.
You don't see either or. You don't see either or thing.
I think they're going to follow what happened in Houston, where Harden. Actually, no. Russell left first, right?
Yeah.
When Russell left, so CJ will be Russell, and then after a while, Dame's going to realize, especially if they continue to struggle. I think they're going to struggle. I was looking at some of their first couple of games. I think they're going to lose. I see them going 0-3 out the gate. And I think if they struggle, and especially after the lack of success last year, I think it's time to pull the plug on this Blazers team. I think their ceiling with CJ and Lillard was probably 2 years ago. Was it the bubble or before the bubble when they made it to the Western
Before
Finals?
the bubble when Dame hit that game winner against OKC.
I think that was their ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since then, they've been digressing a little bit. So I think it's time to blow it up, especially in the Western Conference. If you're not getting better, you're getting lost in the shuffle, a la the Pelicans.
I mean, listen, the Pelicans I don't look forward to except the eventual trade and assets they receive for Zion Williamson. That's essentially what they're waiting for.
Pelicans and Timberwolves, they already know they're in the lottery. They already know. And Houston too. See, this is why the West always gets these number one picks.
Poor
that
Houston.
bottom's terrible.
I feel so bad for Houston. And the Pelicans too. I feel bad for them too. Mm-hmm. They try so hard. They rebrand themselves. They get rid of the Hornet name and nothing. They got nothing to show for it at all. The big story this week has been our boy Ben Simmons continuing to lose at life. So we're going to start at the beginning. Ben Simmons last week shows up to the Sixers facility in Camden, New Jersey. Shout out Camden. Unannounced to practice. He wants to get that money back. He wants to earn some of that money back. Now, listen, the report, there was cameras set on him during practice. People said that in his pocket during practice, which he was not running with any energy. He was kind of just there. People saw a cell phone in his pocket, which is like, that's a bad sign. Fast forward to yesterday. Ben Simmons at practice, and Doc Rivers asked him to participate in the defense drill. He says no. Doc Rivers is like, okay. Ask him again. He says no. And Doc pretty much says, get the fuck out. And that's where we are. So I want to play what Kendrick Perkins had to say. There's also an interesting part that Perkins says, which I'm like, huh. But here's Kendrick Perkins about Ben Simmons getting booted out of practice yesterday by Doc Rivers.
We're going to start with you. Simmons suspended one game. What's your reaction to that?
I mean, look, Doc Rivers walked into today ready for the action, and it started from yesterday. If people think Doc Rivers didn't realize what Ben Simmons was doing yesterday, having a cell phone in his pocket, being lazy, just going through the motions when they had him on the floor, people are crazy. And Doc Rivers, I know Doc, he walked in and he set him up. He walked in and he saw that Ben wasn't engaged, and so he called him in to get into a drill. And Ben declined. He called him again to get into a drill, and Doc was ready to throw him out. He lucky Doc Rivers didn't put them paws on him, because I saw him almost put them hands on Rondo once.
I'm like, wait, what? I'm like, did Doc try to yoke up Rajon Rondo?
Now, the funny thing about that, when he said it, Rondo was a knucklehead, especially the first 2 years in the league. So I could kind of see it.
I want to hear the story. I want to see the tape. I want to see Doc Rivers in right. I think Doc still got it. Doc played with the Knicks in the 90s.
Yep.
So Pat wasn't getting nobody, no weak dudes on that team. So Doc could lay hands. So Kendrick thinks that Doc kind of set him up and say, you know what, I don't like how he's looking. Watch this. And kind of pushed him to do that. Do you think that's something that not just Doc Rivers, but a coach in general would do?
Listen, man, Doc Rivers studied under the greats, the Riley of the world. Absolutely, he set him up to do that. And I think that was a great tactic because someone has to, try to smooth things over. And what's wrong with some tough love out the gate? I thought it was a brilliant move by his part.
So after practice, the story continues. Joel Embiid got to the mic, and Joel Embiid said what he had to say about Ben Simmons and the situation. Here's Joel Embiid after the practice that Ben Simmons is booted out of.
Try to lead, the guys that we have here, and I'm sure they feel the same way because, our chemistry has been excellent despite, everything that's been happening the last few months. So yeah, like I said, I don't really care.
But so are you scared? Are you scared that you don't want him to? You don't feel he wants to be here? You said.
I don't know. He got suspended for his conduct, so I'll let you guys read into that. But I'm not sure. I don't know what's going on, honestly. I just I'm excited to play some games. I'm excited to go out and compete against other guys and, win some games.
Are you concerned there's going to be a distraction, though? Is it already?
Well, I just say, since, the past few days, felt like, nothing really happened. We were just focused on, the guys, that are playing, that are practicing, doing our thing, having fun with each other, playing, competing with each other, talking with each other, being part of it. He hasn't bothered us at all.
In the days he was here, what was he a loner?
I just said I don't care. That's his problem. I'm only focused on what we've been doing, and then as a team we're gonna be fine. We gonna, like I said, we love playing with each other. You can sit in practice the way we move the ball, we talk to each other. So yeah.
Have you guys talked to him?
Well, I'm too honest, so I answer that question no.
I'm too honest. No. So Joel Embiid's like, I'm done. Forget this dude. I'm over it. Is Embiid done, or do you think can this be fixed? I think that's the bigger question. Can this be fixed? Has reports came out that him, Simmons, and the Sixers brass, they're meeting tomorrow. Can this be fixed?
I think
it's done.
I think it's unrepairable, and I think him not being there is the best for everybody. Could you imagine him on the court and not even playing, but like on the sidelines, isolated in street clothes? Somebody would do something at him in the Philly crowd tomorrow night. I think this is beyond repaired. I think when I hear from Philly fans, they look at him like F this dude. He doesn't want to be here. We don't want him. He's too soft. He's not built for Philly. So I think Embiid was holding back, and it finally a little bit came out in that press conference right there.
So there was a report from Ramona Shelburne on ESPN about Simmons and how there was a report about a masseuse with the Sixers last year that got COVID, and they were making sure they didn't have close contact with the masseuse and blah, 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 blah. Game 7, the day of Game 7, reportedly Ben Simmons went to the Sixers and said he thinks he might have been in close contact with the masseuse. And with the players assuming that was his way to try to get out of the game and not play. That's damning. If that's true, we don't know. It's just reported. We don't know. But a close source to the Sixers reported that to Ramona. That's damning if that's true, that in the middle of an important playoff series to get to the NBA Finals, the Eastern Conference Finals, Ben Simmons will try to find a way out. I think that's true. And I think the players are just kind of not just Joel Embiid, but everyone else is probably just done with it now and said, we don't want you here. And I'm surprised they didn't kick him out of practice the other day.
I think that was a great Rich Paul try to, swindle your way out of a situation tactic. It didn't work. It still doesn't explain why you was under the rim and you passed the ball. It doesn't explain any of that. I just think he's looking for ways to get out of it now and not look like the bad guy.
Well, the report is too, he apparently told the Sixers he wants to go somewhere new and be able to quote unquote make mistakes.
Damn.
And learn.
Damn.
I'm like, but you've been in the league for how long? You've been doing like when what mistakes are we talking about? Not learning how to shoot, not improving your game. Like what are we doing right now?
Right.
I think that's the question. One play, one more video. This is from inside the NBA about the Ben Simmons situation, and Barkley and Smith pretty much. Listen, everybody's here to blame. We'll talk about the blame game when we come back, but there's a lot of blame to go around for this whole entire thing. So here's the TNT crew.
It's just
Charles,
a joke.
yeah.
It's a joke. It's stupid and it's silly. Ben, first of all, it's everybody's fault. Ben Simmons deserves, number one, the blame, because when people ask you to be a better basketball player and they're paying you $35, $40 million, that's a very fair thing. The Sixers deserve some blame because they already let this guy not improve and get one coach fired, so they deserve some blame for that. They threw Brett Brown under the bus. And the third thing is Doc Rivers. Last year, we had him on there. You guys want me to take Ben Simmons out the game? Yeah, we do. If he just going to stand around and not shoot the basketball, yes, we do. So there's plenty of blame to go around. But the number one blame goes with Ben Simmons. Kenny, Shaq, your coach, your mom and dad, you should want to be a better basketball player because that's your profession. That's your job. Your coach is important. Your mom and dad's important. But I wanted to be a great basketball player for myself first and foremost.
Yeah, I think what he did was he moved the pendulum. It could have been 50-50. Like, okay, guy doesn't want to be there. Doc Rivers said, hey, I don't know if we can win a championship with this guy. Oh, you weren't improving. You weren't getting it. Okay, it's 50-50. But when you show up, you have to show up. And then you don't have to engage in laughter. You don't have to engage in, but you showed up. So once you show up, then he moved the pendulum by being disgruntled while he's there. Carrying things that you never do. You don't carry a cell phone in practice. You're not, if the coach tells you to jump in a drill, you're going to jump in.
You don't refuse.
You don't refuse. You're just going to be like, so I think he moved the pendulum on the 50-50, and now, no, it's.
So, the blame, I think, for the TNT crew went to Ben and it went to the Sixers. I think they're right because I think Ben created all of this.
Absolutely.
By just shutting down and realizing that, oh shit, I'm exposed, and knowing that, and now wanting to get out of that heat. The Sixers are to blame because they've been kind of coddling him all these years. Because we knew, and I think the teacher at school was like, and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, but they knew who he was. In LSU, he wasn't a good shooter. You take the court vision, you take the length, you take the ball handling, you take the defense, and you're willing to kind of overlook the fact that he can't shoot worth his life. But in a big game, when you need him to shoot and make baskets, not from 2 feet in, but from 20, he kind of shrinks back. I feel like the Sixers kind of been coddling him and not pushing him to get better.
Yeah, they did. It's not just that. When I look at him, I look at Kyrie, and I think about, they always showed you who they were or who they are. I think about LSU, how he handled that situation. He didn't want to get hurt. He didn't want to play hard, and he already assumed he was going to be the number one pick, which he was. So it kind of worked out in his favor. LSU didn't care because they was making money off of him, whatever the case may be. Then he comes to the Sixers, the whole trust the process, and they just coddle him. And for some reason, remember, there was a long time, everybody was like, I'd rather build a team around Ben Simmons rather than Joel Embiid. It's funny how that conversation totally shifted. It went 360. But there was a time where he was getting more coddled than Embiid. Now we fast forward to now, whereas Embiid has progressed, he's gotten better. And Ben Simmons hasn't even tried to. He got one coach fired. Barkley alluded to that as well yesterday. And Doc ain't here for the shits. Doc is a championship coach. Doc's going to push back. He was a point guard himself. And when Doc initially made that comment, if I don't know if we can win a championship with Ben Simmons, he wasn't lying. And Ben did not want to put in any work this offseason and get better. Instead, he's kind of like buckled under pressure of, the Philly fans don't want me. when he could have just toughened up and proved himself this season, come in better shape, work on his craft, and everything would have been forgotten. But nope, he got 4 years left in his deal. He came in, started bitching and moaning, and then he pulled the stunt he pulled this week. And poor Philly, I feel bad for Philly because he is a great asset, but now you're going to get pennies on the dollar for him because everybody knows he can't be there.
Yeah, and we talk about that every week. How and Daryl Morey said in an interview he's not being pressured into trading Simmons. Pretty much saying, buckle up, it's gonna be a while. Because I think he knows the market, especially after yesterday, is shot.
There's no market.
I feel like you have GMs like, nope, and hanging up on him. So I feel like he has to wait it out. He has no choice but to say, all right, we either leave him home and pay him because we can't just leave him home and not pay, or we got to bring him in and just see what happens.
It's crazy because I was thinking about it the other day, how the Knicks got Sprewell. It was under horrible circumstances, but everybody knows Sprewell still had games, so everybody was trying to clamor for him. I don't know if that's the case with Ben Simmons. We know he has a raw potential, but mentally he's shot. He's a shot fighter mentally.
And the bigger thing is he's a flawed player.
Yeah.
He's by far one of the most flawed players you will see in the NBA. Most players in his predicament, no matter how good their defense is, no matter how great their court vision is, would not make it to where he is right now.
Nope.
But he is kind of a unicorn because he's 6'10" and can do the things that, Kemba Walker could do. Mm-hmm. But I feel like that flaw is so apparent now and so in everyone's face, you can't get past it. It is what it is now. You know who he is, who we thought he was, essentially, at this point. Were there any surprises to you in the first couple? I know it's been like 2 days. I can't really say, the big surprise of the season. It's been 2 days, but has there been anything that's kind of caught your eyes so far this season?
Nothing really other than I was surprised that, Charlotte played the way they did and came back down. I think they were down by 22 against the Pacers. They came back and won that game. I've been pretty much watching the League Pass preview. I looked at the Bulls for like 10 minutes, and I was like, okay. I still don't see no defense, but okay. I can see – I definitely see a problem with Levine and DeRozan on the court at the same time. But it's only one game. I'm not going to criticize them too much. But I was definitely taken back on how flat the Nets look. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's the whole thing about Kyrie or it's just that one game, but there's a good chance Nets go down 0-2 tomorrow.
Yeah, I think they play
Philly.
They play Philly. They play Philly in Philly or in Brooklyn?
In Philly.
In Philly.
The Brooklyn home opener Sunday against the Hornets.
Yeah, they're going 0-2. They're going 0-2.
That's what I'm saying. I'm curious to see how they look tomorrow. They're gonna play a little bit better.
Yeah, it's gonna be real bad. WNBA season's over now. I was definitely sick on Sunday, fever, everything, but I was in bed watching that game on Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. Chicago Sky wins their first WNBA championship. They that place was rocking. I can't. It was crazy to see that arena. I think legitimately full.
Oh yeah,
like it's not a huge arena. We're not talking about the Garden. We're talking about Barclays. It's a smaller arena, but in the center of Chicago, it was packed, and they were loud. And Chicago put it down. Chicago was down by 8 points with like 3 minutes left. Came back, won the game.
Came back and won.
Big shots. Vandersloot hit a big shot. Candace Parker hit a big three to tie the game up. Defensively, they shut Phoenix down. Phoenix also shot themselves in the foot because they couldn't make a layup. They missed 4 consecutive layups, which killed me. Chicago wins their first championship. Listen, we talked about Candace Parker's legacy a few weeks ago. What is it now with her second title and doing it in her hometown and bringing out Chicago? She brought Chicago out on Sunday.
She was on outside of my Mount Rushmore, the WNBA. I got to put her up there. She won 2 titles, 2 different organizations. One in the LA, and now she brought a title back home to Chicago. And I think for what she's doing in terms of women's sports movement, it's unmatched to anyone. So I think between that, her title, between her great job on TNT, I think she's definitely picking up where Kobe left off in terms of pushing female basketball as the product out there. And I think a lot of people's going to tune in. And not to mention, she's a very attractive woman too. So all these things add up. And I think she's a blessing for the league. I didn't see Chicago winning the title at any point in the season, but it happened. They withstand. They proved that, any team can win when it's a tournament. So I kind of like the final product I saw of the WNBA finals, even though I don't know how Connecticut, I don't know how the Vegas didn't make it to the finals.
They choked.
Simply
put.
Pretty much.
Chicago outscored Phoenix 26-11 in the fourth quarter. Bad shooting night all around for Phoenix. Diana Taurasi, 4 of 16. Breonna Taylor, 2 of 6. Skylar Diggins-Smith, 7 of 18. Like I said, they couldn't hit layups at all. They were getting wide open looks in transition, couldn't make them. Brittany Griner, listen, she scored 28 points. They let her get hers and made sure to kind of spread the court and make sure that everybody else was covered. Stephanie Dawson, who you think Stephanie Dawson, I know she played for UConn. I just follow her on Instagram. She's silly as all hell. She played tight defense because a lot of Griner's points did not come in that fourth quarter. They came early. The fourth quarter, Dawson came in to sub for Stevens, who fouled out. And Dawson put the defense on Griner and shut her down. So Stephanie Dawson should get a dinner from someone in Chicago for the job she did on Brittany Griner. But in terms of Phoenix, I think Chicago pretty much is going to bring back everybody for the most part next year.
Yeah.
I think their coach is leaving. I think if I heard the post-game press conference correctly, they said, what are you going to miss about coaching in Phoenix? So I'm assuming that she's not coming back. Taurasi said she wants to come back one more run. You're going to be out Kia Nurse more than likely because she tore her ACL during the playoffs. You have an old team already. Do you try to not even rebuild? You might have to reload around Taurasi, but try to get younger in the process. Or do you pull a Chicago and say, we're going to run it back one more time and maybe add someone to replace Kia Nurse while she comes back from ACL surgery?
See, you can try to run it back, but I think the other teams, especially the teams that bowed out early, they're going to get better. And I think for the Mercury, what they need to do is probably get a little younger in certain positions, and maybe that'll help them get back. But to me, hey, they were lucky to get past the Liberty in the first round, in the first game. So I don't know what their ceiling. I don't see them making it back there next year. Now Chicago, I think they can. I think they're going to build upon this and maybe make a couple of tweaks to the lineup, add a couple of players in, and try to give it another run. But I definitely think that the Mercury, I think they wanted to start the rebuilding process. Now it wouldn't be such a rebuilding process per se. It'll be plug and play.
Well, now that Taurasi says she wants to come back because she has another year in her contract, you can't rebuild. I don't think Taurasi will let you rebuild.
She won't let you rebuild.
Not in her last season in the league. So I think you're kind of stuck. You have to, like you said, you got to plug and play and just see what happens. So their season's over. We'll start talking more WNBA probably in the new year because I think once college basketball starts, we got to start looking at draft picks. Because we got to look at the Liberty, who they're going to get. I'm not sure if they'll even make any moves, really. I mean, I don't think there's a lot of moves to be made for them if they kind of stay pat.
I see them more trading than anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the trade might look like, but definitely they got to get better. They got to get longer.
Not even longer. They just got to get better longer.
Yeah.
Like they have bodies, but the bodies they have aren't great. Like Kylie Shook is not a starting forward in WNBA. She's good to get. She's a poor man's Stephanie Dawson. I think she could give you 10 minutes off the bench, but she shouldn't be starting for any WNBA team right now until she shows more. I feel like there's not a lot there for her right now.
Nope, not at all.
So we'll see. In college basketball, I want to talk about this real fast. 6 schools accept invitation to join the American Athletic Conference. Should one of those schools be Rutgers? Yes or no?
No.
Stay in the Big Ten.
Stay in the Big Ten.
The American just seems like the best place for them.
Because in Big Ten basketball, they can hang for a little bit.
Yeah, but football they're terrible.
Basketball, they can hang.
That's the issue. The football is the problem. And I feel like it's dragging down all the other programs.
Yep.
And so I feel like the American, you could probably win an American conference title in football and in basketball same year, guaranteed. In the Big Ten, you're never going to win the Big Ten basketball tournament. I don't think they can. I think they could be a finalist. I don't think they'll ever get to the actual crown,
right,
and make the NCAA tournament. The best Rutgers can do in the Big Ten in football is maybe like the Cheez-It Bowl.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the best they can do. So the move's got to be made.
They won't even make the Pinstripe Bowl. Now thinking about it.
No, did they? Did they make it the year they played?
No,
they weren't big. They weren't Big Ten. They were American.
They're American at the time.
They were American at 1 year before they made the move to the Big Ten. That sucks. It's so bad. There was a story on Real Sports. I don't know if you saw Real Sports this month. Have you?
I haven't watched it lately.
So there's a story about the NIL thing, and of course, Brian Gumbel's like, is it a bad thing yet? There's these two female basketball players who play for Fresno State, and it came out that they were the first athletes in college to get an NIL deal. They're making $400,000 this year.
Damn,
that's more than their coach. That's more than the president of the school. That's more than some state officials. But I feel like Real Sports tried to make it out to be a bad thing. They tried to say, the NCAA is still not paying, things that we say all the time. But they try to make it seem like it's still kind of the Wild Wild West, and there is a possibility that it could get bad. Do you see that? And we talk about basketball. I think football is his own monster, I think. But for basketball, I think it could be a great thing for these players, especially to keep them in school.
I can see that, yeah. Because not everyone's going to make it to the G League. Not everyone's going to make it to the NBA. Might as well go out here, stay in school, make your money, make a name for yourself, make a brand for yourself. Why not?
I think, and that's, you said, make a brand. Create a brand for yourself and see what happens. There's a booster in BYU of all places, of course. Because of NILs, he paid the tuition of all the walk-on football players in BYU.
Oh, wow.
And gave all the players $2,000 checks per month.
Nice.
Literally just to eat his energy bars.
That's a beautiful setup.
I'm like, I wouldn't know what to do with $2,000 if I was like a sophomore in college. Like, what?
And your tuition's paid for? Oh my goodness.
And your food, and your board. Like, what do I would be that. Actually, hindsight, thinking about college, I would probably get in a lot of trouble thinking about it now. There'd be a lot of drunk nights.
College students should not be popping bottles at the bar, but there'll be a lot of popping bottles at the bar.
That's bottle service money.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
I knew an owner at a bar, and I was the man, and I just got him in there and got like Miller Lite for free. I couldn't imagine what I would do with like a bottle service.
Exactly my point.
Damn. Oh man, I want to go back to college. So real fast before we leave, I missed AEW last week. The Friday, Saturday, it threw me off because I forgot.
It threw me off.
I forgot. Did you watch the Sweet Saudi Money show tonight?
Yeah, I watched the Saudi Bad tonight.
How was it?
It was actually good in terms of they scaled it down. It wasn't in an oversized arena, stadium. It was actually in an arena, so it kind of had a more intimate feel. The card was pretty cool. I thought Edge and Seth put on a great show. Shout out to Selena. She won the Queen crown. And
how long was that match?
It was maybe like 6 minutes, but it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe that she beat Dewdrop clean. First of all, I hate that name, Dewdrop.
No,
but it's still hard to believe that she won cleanly. And I feel like they threw a bone at the two. Shout out all our geeks out there. They threw a bone at the two biggest video game streaming, cross-play people in the company, Xavier Woods and Selena, who have their own Twitch channel and all that, and I feel like they threw them a bone and gave them this crown. I'm not mad. I'm kind of happy for Xavier Woods because it solidifies that New Day will probably go down in WWE lore as one of the better factions ever.
My issue with the Queen's Crown has been the matches have been 2 minutes long.
All of them.
And I feel like this has been the time to showcase. Like, okay, listen, showcase the women's division. This reminds me of when the Divas thing, the give Divas a chance thing, and they were wrestling 30 seconds. This is what this felt like. I felt like it was just a wasted opportunity to kind of rebuild the division that was so good like 2 years ago, and just fell off the shit now.
Yeah,
to the point where Rhea Ripley just lost her bag and her tag title. No one knows where it is, and no one gives a shit. No one cares.
It's funny you mention that because the complaint with WWE, especially with women's wrestling, is how overbooked they do the 4 horsewomen. And even in that Sasha match today, oh my God, it was terribly overbooked for them to make sure the horsewomen looked good. And Sasha had to overcome all of that. Yeah, WWE has a problem. They only like 4 women. And
Charlotte kept her belt. Becky kept her belt, right?
So they're pretty much probably going to do what they did last year.
Just swap them.
Yeah, which is dumb.
That's why I don't watch your shit. I'm out. I'm out.
And Roman, real quick, the way he beat Brock, this is setting up to be a very long year feud. And they did it pretty good and clever in terms of Heyman threw the belt. You don't know who he threw the belt for. Roman grabbed it, hit him, boom, and won. But the way he threw it right in the middle. You don't know who he was throwing it for. It was very cleverly done.
Yeah, but now I think they said Brock is going away again. So now,
from what I'm hearing, since The Rock is not wrestling, they're probably angling Brock versus Roman again.
Again? Oh my God! Not at Mania?
At Mania.
Oh my God! So I mean, the one show I watch a year from them, I'm gonna see it again.
I don't know who else you're gonna throw at him unless you're gonna do, because they're running Drew McIntyre against Roman soon. Now that he's on SmackDown.
Well, the rumor is they might feed him Jeff Hardy for the time being, as filler, and then move the Drew McIntyre going into Royal Rumble.
Royal Rumble, that would make sense.
But God, that's why I don't watch your shit no more. Jay, as always, great show, man.
Likewise.
So we'll be back next Thursday night here on Just Who Talk YouTube channel, 8 p.m. next Thursday. Enjoy the basketball. There's games on right now. Before we leave, I'll give you a quick update. My computer takes forever to load up. Third quarter, 66-49. Atlanta on top of Dallas. That's in the third quarter, 6:05 left. And Miami up 20 points on Milwaukee, 49-29. Second quarter, 6 minutes left to go. So Miami shocking defending champions right now. So enjoy the basketball. We'll be back next Thursday night. And have a good weekend.
Oh, don't forget, by next week, we'll figure out what we're going to do about this NBA League Pass.
Yes, the League Pass saga will be solved next week here on the podcast. Swear to God. All right. Peace.
Peace.